Welcome back. I wanted to take you through and show you where the garden is right now and what I've gotten done to it. I started off by planting my corn first, and then I'm going to plant potatoes today and beans today. This is where I planted my corn. I have 4 rows of corn. This row here is going to be the potatoes, and I'll have those in the ground in just a minute. But I put out some tomato plants, and I had 2 strawberry plants I didn't know what to do with, so I stuck them in here for the time being. I'll transplant them a little bit later on. But I have some nice tomato plants. These are Marion tomatoes. I have this entire row of tomatoes, so I'm going to have a lot of work there. And I also put out some hot peppers. I like pepper sauce, and I like making jalapeno cheddar cheese sourdough bread, and that's what these will be going into there. And then I have a row that has cucumbers and squash on it, and then another row here that has some cantaloupes, and then the outside row, watermelons. Planter here, this is the Earthway planter. It's not a very expensive planter, but it does a good job of planting a small garden. And as I said, this garden here is for our own personal use. We should get enough vegetables out of this garden to feed us all winter long. So here I go. The first thing I want to do is put this seed spacer in. This is for beans and small peas. Installation is very easy. You want to put this in and line it up, and then you just turn it clockwise one time. And when it rolls, it will roll counterclockwise. So I'm gonna go ahead and load it up. I have this plow on this thing set for about 1 inch deep. That's what we want to plant these beans at, is about 1 inch deep. And I have it loaded up, and here I go. First thing I want to do is up the kickstand here. After I get the beans in the ground, I'll come back and cover them over, make sure that they're about 1 inch deep. Just pull a little dirt up to them. One thing I'm doing as I go down through here, watching out for arrowheads. This particular area had at one time an Indian campground here where they made arrowheads, and I always find them in the garden, but it's going to have to rain a little bit before they appear. Gardens like this require a lot of work, but they are fun, and they, with diligent work and keeping the grass out as best you can, you're not ever going to be able to keep it all out, but you know, work on it a little bit here and there, and everything will be cool. Looking forward to those watermelons. I planted one called a dinosaur egg. It's a white speckled watermelon that it's not really meant for this area, but I have grown some in the past that did pretty good, and we'll see this year how they do. I also planted a personal watermelon, which is not very big, but it's good enough for for me and my wife. My kids live off. They don't get to come around very much, so if they want a bigger watermelon, we'll look at it. After I bring the dirt up, I want to tamp it back down just gently, just enough to keep the birds from finding the seed. There's also an old home site here, and I often find pieces of pottery from the old home site, ceramics that are here. I also have a lot of metal in this garden and a lot of rocks. Rocks don't seem to inhibit the garden. I've got a good tiller from a tractor, and I can break it up really good. At 74, I can't ride my Troy-Bilt that much anymore. It will wear me out. But that's it to planting the beans. Once they start coming up, we'll look for skips and we'll start thinning them out as needed. But I'm sure there'll be skips and I'll replant those skips. Okay, let's get ready to plant potatoes. I'm gonna plant potatoes on this row here. If you notice over to the left, I've got dirt that I'm gonna pull up over these. Potatoes need to be about 6 to 12 inches apart and about 6 inches deep. And that's what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna cut a trench in this, and then I'm gonna plant the potatoes. I'm just gonna come along and trench this out. And I'll trench it out fairly deep. Like I said, they need to be about 6 inches deep. So I've got this spade here. It's got a V to it there, and it will help trench this. There's a lot of grass in here. It's gonna be a lot of work this year, but it is what it is. This is just one of the many projects I have going on. Of course, the garden is a yearly event, but now that spring is here and summer's on the way, it's time to start getting ready for next winter. And what I'm talking about is firewood. We have a fireplace that I like to use, and it keeps me warm in my shop. Potbelly stove does a good job. Bye-bye. Have a good time. I was waving goodbye to my wife. She's gone to a ladies' Bible study. And they always seem to have a good time talking, a bunch of old ladies talking about a bunch of old men. And how much they really care for us. There you go, let's get the potatoes in the ground. Okay, I have my seed potatoes. These are Yukon Gold. I have enough to finish out this row, so let's put them in the ground. Got my garden cat with me today. He likes to come up with me. When putting seed potatoes in the ground, it's said that you want to put the cut side down. We'll put them about 6 to 12 inches apart and see how we do. Kind of putting these at about 12 inches apart. I'm getting to play in the dirt with my hands.
Some of these have already started sprouting, so they won't be too terribly long.
You want to try to get at least 2 eyes per
seed potato in the ground. I think that's what I have most of, is two of the eyes per seed potato. Some of them have already sprouted. The ground is nice and moist. It's supposed to rain today, so getting this in just in time. I'm planting this about 3 weeks before Good Friday. If that tells you anything. Down here, the threat of frost, I believe, is past. They say tradition is you plant on Good Friday, but I kind of look for the ground to be at about 65 to 70 degrees before I plant. This ground is perfect at the moment. You can see my kitty cat over there. Hey, Raz, come here, boy. He's looking for a place to poo, I guess.
Hey, Razzle.
You want to put some taters in the ground for me? Okay.
Come back and cover them up now. As potatoes grow and sprout, when they get about 4 to 6 inches high, you want to come back and pull more dirt up over them. We'll use the tractor for that. We'll cover these up, make sure they're about 6 inches deep. And give them plenty of ground cover so that they can get started. See, I left a lot of loose dirt over there to bring up to them. If you're not familiar with Yukon Gold potatoes, if you eat Lay's potato chips, that's what their chips are made from, Yukon Gold. We'll tamp them down a little bit, lightly, not too bad. Just enough to kind of firm up the ground. It's supposed to rain today, and I don't want to wash them out. Being as deep as they are, they shouldn't wash out. They should settle in really good. And that's it for planting potatoes. Hey, Razzle. What you see, big boy? I think on this other end, I'm gonna put out some pumpkin. This is a smaller size pumpkin, and I think it'll be good for making pumpkin pies. And on the pumpkin seed, you want to leave them enough room to spread, so we're going to put these at about 6 feet apart, 6 feet from potatoes, and then 6 feet apart, or 2 steps.
You about ready to go home? Huh? I have to open up the ends of these rows so that when it does rain, that the water will drain off. And that pretty much takes care of the garden for the time being. We'll come back in about a week and see what I need to do. Now I'm gonna have to do some tilling up. If you look in the background, you'll see my Troy-Bilt tiller. That's what I'll ride to clean the middles up with. I guess. I may hook my harrow up where I can loosen up the ground with my tractor. That would probably be best. All right, we'll see you next week. Have a blessed day.